What up, people? This is Sweep the Rack podcast for the people. Rob, say what's up.
What's good, peeps?
We got some clips here for you, people. Some of the best parts of our various shows that we've put out. So enjoy the clip here, and we'll catch you on the other side to wrap up.
Now, Ryan, you brought up something about the PBA, and kind of gives me a really good segue into my next question here. I wanted to talk about how, in your perspective, the season went for you this year. There were some controversial tweets you may or may not want to talk about in regards to what was going on with the conditions. Just wanted to kind of get your...
I want to interject, Rob. Rob, before you finish the question. Rye, say whatever you want. If you get fined, we got you. Tom Clark, come talk to us. So go ahead, Rob. Continue on.
Yeah, I just want to see if you wanted to elaborate on the season that you had and what was going on out there with, just everything that happened in the previous 6 months.
All right, so I think that there's more than just me that feel this way, and I don't think it's a lefty-righty issue at all. I want to clarify that out of the gate. I don't think it's a problem with the left side. What my issue is that it feels like every week, no matter the distance of the pattern, they all feel like the same pattern. 32 feet in Detroit, and the righties are sliding in the left gutter. 50 feet or whatever, however, it doesn't even matter the distance. 47 feet, 2 days later on the long pattern, they're sliding in the left gutter game 2. Okay, so you're telling me that these two patterns, 15 feet different, and the righties are playing the same angles? And basically what they do is, for whatever reason, the patterns seem to be shaped the same way. And no matter the distance, what really seems to matter is the volumes and the shapes of the patterns. The distance are really almost irrelevant. So it feels like we're bowling on the same thing every week. Now, if that's the case, if you match up on one, you should be able to match up on basically every one of them. And so the same guys keep bowling the best week in and week out. And what's bothering me is that I feel like let me think how I want to say this. Okay, so the best bowlers in the world are all bowling on tour, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So none of us do it the same. None of us want to see the same thing as our A game, and that's what makes us elite. So how come only 10% of the tour gets to play their A game virtually week in and week out? To me, that's not right. So could you imagine, so Belmo and EJ and now Prather, these guys are the best in the world right now. Okay, I have no problem with that, really, because let's be honest, at what they're doing, they are the best. Could you imagine what would happen if the Nuts was 2, 3, 4 every week? Who'd be on every show? Would I be one of them? Well, I like to think so. So what you're doing is basically the environment is telling you who's going to be the best in the world. So instead of just having these patterns that every single one of them seems to play exactly the same, why do we not have more variety? How come we do not have these distinct shapes and volumes and distances that force people and different types of physical games to come to the top? Why am I bowling my C and D game every single week and watching the same 15 guys bowl their A game every week? How is that fair? I just don't understand that.
Hey, Mike, didn't we hear Tommy Jones kind of talk about the same thing when we interviewed him about the lane play and how the lanes in different patterns are playing the same? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that numerous players have brought up. But Rye, let me play devil's advocate for just a minute, right? Because I want to hear what your response would be to this. It's the equipment. The equipment's responsible for that. It's the surfaces, it's the aggressiveness of the balls, where no matter what you put out there, they're going to get blown up. Everybody's moving left, and it's a contest of who can hook the lane and carry. What do you think about that perspective?
Okay, so to an extent, I suppose I do think that there should be and can be some regulations on those things. But I also feel like, how come, for example, I go to Thailand every year, and I've made 5 of the 6 shows that of the years I've gone. So I have whatever you want to call it. They're fair. They're better for me over there. It doesn't matter. My point is they bowl 9 game blocks. So they bowl 3 games, and that's your squad. And then they bowl another squad 3 games, and then they bowl another squad 3 games. So there's 9 games, and then there's even a 12-game stretch where they don't run them. So you're talking 9 to 12 games where they never run the lanes, which is more than any block we bowl on tour. And yet the lanes never blow apart. Now, why is that? What have they figured out that we haven't? And in my opinion, I think it's the front of the lane, the way the patterns are tapered front to back. There's such a platform in the front of the lane, and there's enough shape down lane that you don't feel like you have to create shape with surface. That 1, guys don't use as much surface. 2, the fronts stay intact. And 3, that makes the integrity of the pattern stay intact. To me, it's not a hard concept, and it's not just Thailand. I feel like every time I go anywhere in Asia, that's the case. How can we bowl 10 games straight in Japan, and I never feel the front of the lane is an issue? Why is that? And game 2 and 3, every tournament I bowl on tour, I'm fighting the front of the lane. Because I suck? No, that's not why. They've figured something out that we haven't, or I don't know. I don't like to think of conspiracies, and I don't believe that we just want to see certain people on TV. I hear that stuff. I don't necessarily believe that, but they're sure feeding into the fact that it's starting to look that way. I mean, why do the patterns just cater every week to the same 15 guys? They're damn good. And guys like Belmo, they're going to make shows anyways. He doesn't need his A game to make a show. He doesn't need to loft the left cap and get further left than anybody to make a show. He's good enough to make shows and win without that. So why can't the rest of the guys that have different A games than that have their nut every, I don't know, once a month, once every 2 months, hell, once a season? I mean, it's been 2 years since I've had my nut. I'm just wondering. Sorry, now I'm venting.
No, it's okay, because I was just playing devil's advocate there. I mean, Rob, you watch a lot of bowling. I watch a lot of bowling, and one of the comments that I make after watching the World Series almost every year is how, there's these different patterns and so much emphasis is put on the different patterns. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not the best eye in bowling, and I'm only watching on the internet, but to me, it looks like a lot of them play the same way. Even to start,
you're not wrong.
Play the same way, and I've mentioned that to numerous people that I know in the bowling community that compete at that level, and I've gotten different responses on it. But yeah, I definitely, as a fan, as a viewer, understand your perspective. I think I see it to hold true somewhat in viewing, and to me, I just feel like, come on, it can't be that hard. I mean, the PBA has more resources in bowling than anyone. Can't be that hard to develop patterns that are gonna hold up or retain themselves better or force players to play the lanes in different ways. Rob, what are your thoughts?
I had experience bowling at the World Series of Bowling when it was at the South Point, not the stadium, but the bowling center. And, I mean, it did play really similar, and it felt like the house has a very, very big factor in how the lanes play, just the house tendencies. But you also have, a lot of these surfaces and everybody playing them the same or starting the same, and it just Yeah, I mean, you got more righties than lefties, and then guess what? The righties are going to move to the left side, and then it's going to completely blow up the left side as well. So, there is a lot
Rob,
of.
Don't you agree, though? Don't you agree that the resources are out there to not have that happen if the powers that be don't want to have that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course they could do anything they want to do with the lanes. I mean, they're the best. PBA is the top, organization when it comes to bowling. When it comes to lanes, and they should be able to do anything they want to do and stop anything from happening that they want to stop from happening. I think that's the true problem with the just bowling industry, which is bowling itself in general, is that there's one guy who has a lot of control of what goes on in these tournaments, and it's the guy who puts the pattern out. Now, I'm not saying the guy that is actually running the machine, but it's the company or the people that are in charge of figuring out what patterns are going to play in what tournaments, and that's a lot of the
on tour. On tour, that's the same guy now.
It's the same. So you got one guy. So there you go. He's the guy. Ron, you got to find out who this guy is. You got to find out who this guy is, and you got to take him out.
Oh no, I know who he is.
Oh well, then you got to get buddy.
He's from Buffalo, man.
Oh, look at that. So
he's hated. Man, he's hated lefties his whole life. It ain't a joke. It ain't hidden. It ain't a secret. Brother's left-handed. Hated him. He was the leader of the IHL with my father, of all people. They hated lefties. They despised them. My dad despised them. He despised them. Everyone despised us. And they swear that it doesn't go into it, and that they want fairness, and they could care less. They're getting their checks and blah blah blah. But I watched this guy when I got a story for you. The guy running the lanes for the PBA, when I was 15 years old bowling high school at Thruway Lanes, I broke the New York State record for high school average at the time, I think it was around 226 or 227 or something. Now, that's only bowling half of my matches at Thruway Lanes. I'm bowling my other half in 8-lane houses, hand-oiled lanes, still spray guns and mops. And the following year, who gets hired at Thruway Lanes? The guy doing the lanes for the PBA now. And my average, only bowling half of my games at Thruway Lanes, went from 227 to 202. And I'll never forget watching him with his arms crossed, pacing back and forth behind our school matches with this big-ass grin on his face, like he was getting off on it. I was 15 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And this is the guy doing the lanes for the PBA. Now, if it's not a lefty-righty thing, whatever, fine. But if you're going to tell me that the guy's morals aren't twisted, I'm going to fight you on it.
Okay, fair enough. History there, obviously, Rob.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, shit, I would be, that's, Mike, I mean, this is their livelihoods, these guys, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, listen.
Guys, I won 5 times in 8 months. I won 5 times in 8 months. After that, he got hired. That's when he got hired to actually design the patterns. After he started designing those patterns, I have now made, I believe, 1 national show and two extra frame shows where he wasn't around to tweak patterns or do anything. And at the same time, now people are going to say, "Oh, well, that's when you switched to motive, and motive's just that bad for you." Well, how come during those same 2 years in the Masters and the U.S. Open, the 2 tournaments each year not ran by the PBA, not ran where Sean Perry has nothing to do with them, and there's a different guy oiling the lanes and designing the patterns, do I finish 7th, 8th, 7th, and 12th? So I have 4 top 12 finishes in two majors back-to-back years in USBC events during the same time where I can't even make a check on the PBA after winning 5 times in 8 months. And you're going to tell me that that's coincidence? You're going to tell me that I magically wake up and learn how to bowl those weeks when the USBC runs the lanes? The facts are telling themselves now. I'm not just bitching anymore. Look at the facts. End of story.
Oh, my man's got the evidence to back that up, Mike. He's no joke.
Listen. that's one of the interesting things about bowling is that the statistics are the statistics, right? And the numbers don't lie, and the statistics don't lie. And, yeah, I mean, if the patterns are there, they're there. And by patterns, I don't mean lane patterns. I mean patterns of statistics or statistical analysis. Yeah, it just makes me think that it would be interesting if there was some more of this, like the things that are going on in other sports with analytics, if that was applied to bowling at a higher level, exactly what we would see. Rob, maybe me and you can get into that and do some research there. But, Rye, listen, like things aren't likely to change, right? And say things don't change. What are you in the lab working on? What do you feel like you need to do to get better and to overcome the adversity that you're facing out there?
I think the number one thing for me is tilt. It seems like the couple lefties that have done well, and obviously Butter is not human, but it seems like what they have in common is that their ball doesn't fight the front of the lane. And so they don't even realize that the front of the lane is an issue because their ball floats through it pretty easily. Well, for me to create tilt, obviously tilt is the hardest thing in bowling to manipulate. And what sucks is that during the time when I was talking about the first couple of years, I came out on tour and I was trying to hook the lane, and you just can't hook the lane. Well, a lot of the reason was because I had a lot of tilt. So my ball was clean, it was sharp off the end of the patterns, and I created a lot of shape. So as I was throwing it harder and creating shallower angles, I also started to get rid of tilt. And I'm now to a point where I have, I think, 4 degrees of tilt. I mean, it's virtually non-existent. And I think that if I could get like to 12 to 15 degrees of tilt, that the front of the lane wouldn't be near as much of a problem as it is for me. And I have been working on it, and I just, for whatever reason, I don't know if maybe my wrist just isn't, I don't know. I feel like it's going to go. I don't really know. It hurts for me to get my wrist into a position to create that much tilt. So I don't know that that's in the cards for me. I'm just sitting back hoping that enough people are talking about diversity of patterns to where we can all just get a chance. I mean, I'm okay watching these guys run them over if I'm going to get my chance at running them over. I hope that we decide to change our patterns up enough to where every great bowler doing something great gets their chance to shine.
Yeah, I think the bottom line for me as a viewer is I would like to see more parity in the patterns. I would like to see bigger differences, more shapes going down the lane as opposed to, Rob, you alluded to the fact that you thought they started the same a lot. I feel that's true watching, and I also feel like regardless of what they start, like a few games into it, everybody's left of 2025 anyway. So, yeah, I would definitely like to see.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you what I think is a solution?
Absolutely.
I think a big part of it is this new standard of how hard patterns need to be with these low ratios, and I think that is dumb. I think patterns being that hard is stupid because every pattern, no matter the length, no matter the volume, if it's 1.5 or 1.8 to 1, they're virtually flat. And you can create a little more shape in a certain part of the pattern and still say that it's 1.8, but there's actually more shape. You can say all of that stuff, but the bottom line is when they're that flat, it makes it that much easier for the righties to chew out the track. So why can't we make patterns softer again to force people to play where they're softer? When you had to play cheetah straight outside of 5, where there was enough shape to force guys to play that shape. And then why can't we do that in different zones of the lane and on different volumes and have them start off softer to force guys to play that zone? instead of making them so more or less difficult to where the guys have to carve them up to make them easier. You're forcing the guys to do that. So you're forcing them to do it, and you know where they're going to do it is the track. So they're going to do it from 12 to 15. They're going to destroy them there because that's where righties want to play. Hell, that's where I would want to play. I'll play 12 to 15 on anything if there's hook left of me. But we don't, on the left, we don't get that opportunity to obviously carve them up. That's another story. But why this new standard came about our scoring paces and this and that are too high and they bowl on stuff that's too easy, that's all bullshit. Why can't the best bowlers in the world average 240? Why is that not okay? Why can't the best bowlers in the world average 230? Why is that not okay?
They do a lot.
We had these scoring, and that's my point. They still do. But now you've taken out 80% of the field because they can't do that. And 100%, you're making my point by saying they still do.
I hear
You're right.
No, listen, and I mean, you no matter what they put out there, it seems like there's a couple exceptions. I'm not going to say that there's no exceptions. But regardless of what goes out there, somebody with some kind of style, trick, etc., matchup, whacks them and averages 230, 240 anyway. I mean, it just so happens that at the end of the day, over long stretches of games, I guess is the phrase I'll use, a lot of times it happens to be similar guys who are doing a similar thing, right? And that's why I say as a viewer, I would like to see differences. I personally, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, to me, I think making them fresh and trying to keep the lanes fresh has to be part of that equation, right? If that means that
I've pitched the 5-6 game blocks to them too. I've pitched that idea too.
I even mean 2 game blocks because I feel like after 2 games, that's when they really start to go and they open up and whoever has them figured out or has the look real excellent. Like, I would love to see a PBA tournament where every 2 games the lanes are redone. So you're basically
in
always
in a perfect world, absolutely. Yes.
So I would like to see more variety like that. I think as a viewer, as a fan, that's really interesting. I'm not really commenting on it from the side that you are, from the technical side of it, because I don't have enough knowledge to comment on it that way. But from the viewer's perspective, I would love to see more variety like that. But, really interesting to hear, what you feel like you need to work on. And, we know you guys are always working hard and always trying to improve your game. So, good luck. And we hope you figure it out, man. You a few years ago, like you alluded to, you were one of the top players out there. So, all right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that clip. Mike and Rob just wrapping up for you here. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And obviously, Rob, they want to give us a follow on social media, too.
Yes, sir. Sweep the Rack on Twitter, Sweep the Rack on Instagram, and Sweep the Rack Bowling Podcast on YouTube.
If you want to reach out to us as well, hit us up, sweeptherack@gmail.com. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.